Hello people, and welcome to, or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is �16𝚡𝚎𝚑𝚡, and here on this channel, I talk about whatever I want while I do my makeup. As you can tell by the title of this video, today's video is inspired by the Aquarius zodiac sign, and this is the look I created from my inspiration. So if you want to see how I did this look, then keep watching. So here I am, again, looking like the moon from Bear in the Big Blue House. If you know, you know.
The moon, the bear, and the big blue house.
Obviously, with reference to my last video, you know what that means. We are here to do some makeup today. Per usual, I've already gone ahead and done my base, except for my highlight. It took me a while to actually pick out which blush I was gonna wear, and I ended up going with a purple toned one from Wet n Wild. Looks a lot more stark on camera, but I promise you it's not that crazy. I'm not walking around looking like a clown. If you hear any noise in the background, it's because I have a video playing on my tablet. I like to have a little bit of background noise while I do my makeup, so I'm not just sitting here in silence, or if I'm talking, listening to the sound of my own voice, because it's annoying. I also completely took my nails off just because I haven't been able to decide what design I want to do, so I just haven't been wearing any. Contrary to its name, Aquarius is actually an air sign, which I was just as confused as you were. So of course their element is air. The colors associated with the Aquarius sign are different shades of blue, creams and whites, some browns, some greens, as well as black. So we're gonna go ahead and play around with some of those colors today. I did draw out some concept art for the look, and if I remember, I will put it in one of these corners on the screen. I usually always draw out my makeup looks, but I haven't been recently. I kind of just have been sitting down at my vanity and just kind of mixing and playing and see what I could come up with. But today we did plan ahead, so I'm gonna go ahead and just start grabbing some stuff and getting into it. Did also just recently buy some brand new makeup brushes. I think it was like a trio of e.l.f. brushes that I got from Marshall's. I don't usually go to Marshall's, but I was on my way to World Market, and there's a Marshall's right next to World Market, so I decided to just dip in there and see what I can find. I typically prefer places like TJ Maxx because I feel like the stuff is a little bit better taken care of at that store. But after finding out what the TJX company has been up to, I refuse to go into any of their stores. I don't understand what it is with a lot of these brands being shady. So first I'm just gonna go ahead and prime my eyes. I have set my entire face except for my eyelids. As you can see, they're kind of creasing a little bit. The reason I did that is because my eyeshadow primer will remove my concealer and any powder that I put on top of it. So I'm actually just mixing them together on the back of my hand, and I'm going to apply it that way. And the eyeshadow primer that I'm using is the Urban Decay Primer Potion. I've used this before. I think I got like a trial of it, and I did really like it. And one thing to mention is when you apply this eyeshadow primer, you want to tap it into place. You definitely don't want to drag it because, like I said, it will remove literally anything underneath it. It's a really good eyeshadow primer, but it is very tricky to work with, especially if you're not used to using it. I'm gonna let that dry down a little bit and then I will come back. So I've given it a chance to dry down. I'm gonna go ahead and pick up the palette. Oh my god. The palette that I'm gonna be using today for a lot of this look is my Fuji 5 Lakes palette. I've been very loyal to you guys in the sense that I have not touched this palette at all. It is completely untouched. And the reason I haven't used it is because I want to use each palette on camera before I dip into it in my own time. And as I said in my last video, as I'm using products, if I'm talking through it all, I'm going to have a little pop-up in one of the corners of which palette or item I'm using and the color. So as I kind of came up with some ideas on different makeup looks to do, I also did a lot of research on different topics to see like what would be interesting for a video, and I actually learned a lot about Aquarians. They are very independent people and they kind of march to the beat of their own drum. They can be quite intelligent and they also adapt very quickly to different situations and scenarios, which is a good skill to have. In one of the articles I was reading, it said it had like a list of different jobs that Aquarians would be very, very good for, and one of them was programming artificial intelligence, which I think is pretty fitting, especially if they're kind of independent. They don't like to, you know, be too much of like a group activity kind of person. You kind of can make your, you know, set your own rules when it comes to creating artificial intelligence. I feel like that also really screams like being your own boss, and so I definitely think that they could kind of be an independent contractor, or, you know, doing some sort of unconventional odd job where they kind of work on their own, or even like owning a company. I think that would be something that would be really fitting for them. I personally don't know a lot of Aquarians, but I am pretty sure I've met quite a few. And that's not to say that Aquarians are very forgettable people. I am just not good at remembering people's zodiac sign that aren't in my life anymore, or really in general. I of course remember my own. You will find that out in the future of this series, which one is mine. But I am definitely not an Aquarius. That's your first hint. If you are an Aquarius, let me know down in the comments, and also let me know when your birthday is. Did it pass? Is it coming up? Is it today? Let me know. I'm really liking the blues in this palette. I think they apply just how they look in the pan. They're really, really pretty. And I don't wear a lot of blue shadows. I don't wear a lot of blue in general. Like, I don't even own any blue clothing. But I am really, really, really liking how these shadows are applying. And just how pigmented they are. Like, they're just super, super pigmented and really, really pretty. I'm doing this kind of like halo into rainbow shape on my eyelids. I actually did this for my Joy Division disorder based makeup. If you haven't seen it, my Instagram is in this top. This is my left side, so it should be your left side too, as well as in the description if you are interested. I'm really just kind of working these colors back and forth in my crease and then just blending up and out from there. And I'm just kind of trying to make sure it all blends out nicely, at least for the most part. I'm also thinking I might stray a little bit from my original design because I'm getting a little bit inspired by the shape that we have going on here. So I've kind of got this shape going on my eyelid, and I'm, like I said, feeling really inspired just by looking at some of the colors in this palette. I'm gonna do my best to kind of keep this spot clean because I do have a plan for it. Just trust the process. Ooh, I do kind of like that. I like the way that looks. I'm always terrified that I'm going to mess something up, like exponentially. A lot of people will tell you that your makeup needs to be blended at all times. There can never be any harsh lines. I so disagree with that. I think if you want harsh lines in your makeup, if you want it to look like you don't even know what blending is, I say go for it. I say if you're doing it intentionally, I don't see why it would matter. If you're not doing it intentionally, then yeah, okay, I can see where that statement would be coming from. But if it's meant to be intentional, don't let someone tell you that it looks bad because you didn't blend it. If it's not supposed to be blended, it's not supposed to be blended, and that's that. So that's enough of that palette. Like I said, one of the colors associated with the Aquarius zodiac sign is black. So we're gonna use some black shadow. Black eyeshadows always feel a lot more scary than they actually are. The thing about black is you need to make sure that you get it where you want it. Because if it ends up anywhere else that you don't want it, good luck, my friend, because it's gonna be a very hard time for you, I can guarantee it. And use a brush that makes whatever you're doing easy for you. I know I said this isn't a tutorial, but at least looks like these are not tutorials in my opinion. But I'm not going to hesitate to give you a tip that can help you out later. Doesn't matter if it's a smudging brush, if it's a contour brush, if it's a lip brush. Use whatever brush makes your life easy, because I guarantee you nobody's even gonna know. When it's all said and done, when you're done with all of your makeup, nobody's even going to know that you used some random brush to do your makeup. So use whatever makes you feel the best. So I've got that black on there. I'm not going to blend it out. I don't want it blended, so I'm not going to make it blended. And I'm just going to take this medium blue that I've been using and kind of line around it. And then right here on these edges, I am just going to blend the colors together a little bit. Next, I'm kind of going to go in here and make some funky shapes up here. I am looking in the viewfinder. I think I'm going to go in first with my deepest blue and then taking my medium blue and just blending that into it. I do also want to mention that if you hear yelling and shouting, I guess there's a football game on. The walls in my apartment complex are paper thin, so you can hear everything that comes from my neighbors. So I apologize for that in advance. No anger, hatred, or malice towards them. They're excited about watching football, so I'm just gonna let them be excited. I do want to say too that I am just so excited to be able to kind of just sit down and play around with my makeup and do my little weird stuff and just be weird. And I'm also really happy to be able to share it with you guys as well. I'm kind of doing these like little wispy drop shapes. Gonna be different on each side. I mean, pretty much the same sort of concept, but I don't want them to be exactly the same in terms of like how they look. So like some of them are going to be coming from one side, some of them are going to be coming from the other side. At least I think that's how I want to do it. I think I might even make them connect a little bit. Why not? I am doing the same colors though for each new one that I add. These little, I don't even know what to call them. Like raindrops, teardrops, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm just adding them as I feel. I like to think of makeup as a form of self-expression, so I always just kind of do what I think feels right. And sometimes it may be really weird and it may suck and it may be really ugly and it doesn't look good. And sometimes it's one of the best things I've ever done. So I kind of just let myself experiment a little bit. I think for now I really do like the matte shadows, so I'm gonna go ahead and move into the shimmers. A lot of people do ask me that. They're like, Frostbite, do you wear those looks out in public? I 100% do. I 100% do, and I don't feel ashamed about it. Oh, that's pretty. Ooh, I like that. I know there's like a rule in makeup that you're not supposed to put shimmers in your crease or whatever. I don't care, and I'm not gonna let somebody tell me that I'm not supposed to do something or I can't do something that way. And I spent the first several years of my life being told what to do by my mom, and I'm not gonna let some random stranger tell me what to do. Since I already put on eyeshadow primer, I don't feel the need to put on a glitter primer, so I'm kind of just adding the shimmers as I see fit. Also, I forgot to mention, you will see me occasionally check the viewfinder because sometimes my camera will tell me something's wrong, and so I like to check it just to make sure we're still good. One of the really cool things that I picked up recently is this ColourPop liquid chrome eyeshadow, and I actually picked it up in the color Beetle, and I thought that this would be perfect for this look because it's like a blue purple with a green shift. I think it's really, really pretty. And so I'm just going to tap that right over top of that blue that we just put down. And then with my pinky, I'm just going to kind of tap that out and blend it out a little bit. I think that color is really, really, really pretty. One of the reasons I really wanted to use the Fuji 5 Flakes palette for this look is not only because of those blues, the Diamond Fuji shade, which is the shade that I'm applying right now. This has to be one of, if not the most beautiful shades of eyeshadow I've ever seen. I just love how it adds that icy blue look to it. It's just, oh, she's so pretty. I'm gonna be using Diamond Fuji as my highlight. Now that we're completely done with the shadow, it's time for the really fun part. I'm busting out my liner brush, so that means we are going to do some super fun liner. Here I actually have this face paint palette that I bought from Amazon. It's got, I think, 36 different colors in it. I usually like to use a popsicle stick to kind of scrape out some of the face paint to put in the lid so that I can dip my liner into that instead of dipping it directly into the palette. But I actually don't have any more popsicle sticks, so I'm going to be using the end of my tweezers. I'm just kind of play around, see what I like and what I feel like needs to be added, and we'll kind of just go from there. I know that there are companies like I think Makeup a Murderer is one, and then I think Glisten Cosmetics is another. They do sell, like, I think they're water-based liner palettes, but every single time I try to get my hands on one of those, they were sold out. So I'm going to make do with what I already have. Brush doesn't have the best point on it anyway to begin with. It's kind of dull and pretty flat, so it doesn't really like come to a nice point, but I kind of manufacture a nice point on it so that I can get some clean lines. I just realized I got face paint all over my face here, so give me a second, I'll be right back. Okay, I have returned. That was a little bit embarrassing, but continuing on, I'm kind of digging this like, almost like praying mantis grasshopper, like antenna thing we have going on. And then I think just to finish off the colored liner, I'm just gonna do a little dot here. There's always a dot somewhere in my, what would you call these? Avant-garde editorial style makeup looks. I'm kind of thinking that something needs to be on this side in this empty space. Not entirely sure what though. And I'm just gonna clean the paint out of the lid and put this away. I think that's good enough. So since Aquarius does have some browns associated with it, I think I'm gonna go in and add a little bit of brown. I think that looks good. I'm gonna go off camera and do my liner, same as I did in the last video. I always do it that way, and then I will come back. Alright everyone, so that is it for today's video. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I appreciate it so much that you joined me today, and I do want to apologize for the lack of videos for the last couple weeks. I didn't mention that in any other part of the video. As I've already said before, I am a hairstylist. I work a full-time job, which means I work 30+ hours a week, and sometimes I just can't find the time to film, or I do film and I can't find the time to edit, or what happened over these last couple weeks. I had time to film and edit, but everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. My clips were corrupted. My editing software kept crashing. I couldn't get the video to upload, but I am so happy to finally have those issues fixed. I will see you guys on Thursday for my next video, and yeah, I'll see you then. Farewell.